Hammerhead has finally returned, and with it has came a bunch of good perks. This is now going to be one of the best machine guns in the game and compete with things like Commemoration and Song of Ir. The great thing about Hammerhead when comparing it to them two is the fact that this doesn't come from a raid. Commemoration is going to come from Deepstone Crypt, whereas Song of Ir is going to come from Crota, so if you don't raid a lot, you won't have access to a S tier machine gun until now. So with the amount of solid perks on this weapon and also all the people that want to chase it, I figured I want to put together an in-depth guide on the god rolls I'm looking for so you know what to look out for as well. All right, starting off, I think we should note that machine guns are going to be used for ad clear. Yes, there are some setups with things like Retrofit Escapade and Thunderlord where you can kind of use them in a DPS scenario, but in reality, you're always going to use something else for DPS because they will always be better. But when it comes to ad clear, machine guns are going to be by far the best legendary heavy that you can use, and that is exactly how you want to play into this. And just like every other Brave weapon, this will have the Indomitability origin trait, so if you get a kill with a light subclass equipped, you get 5% grenade energy, and if you get a kill with a dark subclass equipped, you get 5% melee energy. This is a very solid origin trait and can actually compete against Commemoration because that origin trait also will provide ability energy back when you deal damage. I think Commemoration is going to be a little bit better in that regard, but regardless, you don't have to do a raid to get this one, and it is still a very strong origin trait. But taking a look at its other perks, it does have the stabilizing rounds, which is going to be your first ad clear perk. I don't think the stabilizing is going to be too good. Essentially, just when you get a kill, you can make enemies volatile. This will have a small internal cooldown, so you can't just make a whole room volatile. If you are playing into a volatile base build with something like your Falcons, I could potentially see maybe making this work, but you're already getting volatile with that anyway. So I think other perks are going to be better for this, but it is a fun option if that's something you like, but there will for sure be better options. Next up is going to be Rampage. Rampage has always been a pretty solid option on pretty much every gun in the game. It's never really been the best thing, except like maybe earlier on in the years, and it's never been the worst thing either. But at 3 stacks, you're going to get a 33% damage increase, and pairing this with the machine gun, which is very easy to kill enemies, and the whole thing they're made for is at clear, you're going to be able to keep 3 stacks of this up very, very easily. 33% increased damage is definitely nothing to sleep on, and it's also good to note that Rampage is in the first column. Typically, damage perks are going to be in the right column, and then magazine or reload speed based perks are going to be in the left, so you can actually go in with double damage perks with this machine gun, which we will get into later. Now, next up is going to be Feed and Frenzy. This at 5 stacks will actually grant you plus 100 reload speed and give you a reload duration multiplier, so you can just reload the gun very fast. If you want to pair this with any other damage perk, you absolutely can, but I do think there is going to be better options. We're going to skip over 4 times the charm because again, we're not really using this for DPS. The next is going to be Envious Assassin. So when we get kills with our other weapons, we can overflow the magazine. If you get this up to max stacks, it could be up to 200% increased capacity. So at base, you're going to have a 177 magazine size, which is obviously very, very strong. You never have to reload this thing, and you're always going to take this out in harder ad clear situations anyway, so you're going to be getting kills with the other weapons all the time to constantly refill this. So this is just a perk you never really have to worry about the magazine size at all, and I think this is one of the better perks on the gun. Now, rewind rounds is an option. I think this typically plays more into the DPS scenario, so I really wouldn't recommend this, but I guess you can also make it work. But if you're going for a mag based perk, I would definitely just recommend Envious Assassin or even Feed and Frenzy just to get the reload speed up. Now in the next column, you do have things like Surrounded. I don't think Surrounded is going to be the play on this, but it is one of the highest damage increases in the game, so I did want to mention it. Onslaught is going to be a very, very fun option. I think this will be the best option in my opinion, because at 3 stacks of this, you will be getting a fire rate increase, but on top of that, it also will grant you plus 35 reload speed. I think a lot of people forget that Onslaught grants that reload speed. With 3 stacks of Onslaught, you get to 95 reload speed. And as you saw with Feed and Frenzy, this will max it out to 100. So you're kind of getting Feed and Frenzy just while taking Onslaught. Now, Feed and Frenzy will also give you that multiplier, but if you're just strictly looking at the reload speed stat, Onslaught pretty much does what this perk does. And you also get the other benefit of increasing the fire rate, which overall is going to be more ad clear and even more single target damage if you do have this stacked up. Now, Onslaught isn't the only great option here. We do also have Kill and Tally. Now, at 3 stacks of this, you will get 30% increased damage. This damage buff is permanent until you swap your weapon or reload. So if you can keep your magazine size up with this machine gun, you're just going to have a permanent 30% increased damage until you swap off the weapon. This is a very, very strong perk for machine guns or just any high magazine based weapon. weapon, and it's going to pair extremely well with some of our other perks. Now, the final perk I want to go over is Desperate Measures. Honestly, this is a very strong perk on other weapons, but on this one, I don't think it is as strong because it does have things like Kill and Tally. At 3 stacks, you do get 30% increased damage, but this does have a timer. The timer can be reprocced, but to get to that 20 and 30%, you are going to have to get an ability kill. If you only get a weapon kill, you're only going to get 10% increased damage. If you get an ability kill, it'll go up to 20%, and then if you get another one, it'll stack up to 30%. So you really have to play into getting this to 30% damage, whereas Kill and Tally, you just get 3 kills and you get 30% increased damage. So I think if you're going for a damage perk in this right column, Kill and Tally is for sure going to be the way to go, and I think it is going to just outperform Desperate Measures with this specific weapon. So let's start to take a look at perk combinations. I know the most sought after one is probably going to be Rampage and Kill and Tally. These are both going to essentially give you a 30% increase to your damage. These will be able to stack, and you'll just be able to absolutely obliterate any enemy you shoot at. And as cool as that sounds, I do want to point out that I really don't know if having double damage perks on a machine gun is necessary. Sure, having more damage is always a nice way to go, but since the machine gun can already kill enemies extremely fast anyway, since it is a heavy weapon, I don't really foresee why you would want to run 2 damage perks when there are some other options that I personally think are a little better. Now, don't get me wrong, if you do get Rampage and Kill and Tally, this will for sure be a great roll. You can kill a bunch of lower tier enemies and then swap to a tankier enemy. You will be able to obliterate that, but I think you can also achieve that with the perk combination of Rampage and Onslaught. Now, Onslaught is inherently going to give you more DPS as well because you will get that fire rate increase, but like we talked about, you are also going to be getting that increased reload speed as well. So you're going to be getting a 33% damage increase, a little bit more than Kill and Tally, a bunch of reload speed, and you're also going to have that increased fire rate, and this will just be able to obliterate enemies. In my opinion, I think this is going to be the best overall combination for Hammerhead and the one you should be looking out for. But even if you want to go something like Envious Assassin and Kill and Tally, like we mentioned, with Envious Assassin, you're going to get 177 magazines, so it will be extremely easy to keep Kill and Tally up because you will never have to reload this weapon at all. But even then, you're only getting a 30% damage decrease, and I think Reconstruction, Kill and Tally, and the commemoration will be a little bit better. And where this machine gun stands out is the fact that you can roll double damage like Rampage, Kill and Tally, or Rampage Onslaught, and in my opinion, I think Rampage Onslaught is going to be the better option. Now, if you want the pure god roll that I'm going to be chasing, I'm going to be going with armor piercing rounds because this will give you 5% increased damage to enemy shields. Light mag would be a decent option as well because this will give you some extra range alongside increasing that reload speed up to 100, but I think overall that 5 reload speed won't be too noticeable, and having that 5% increased damage to those shields pair it with all the other damage perks you're going to have on this thing is going to be very, very strong. For barrels, it's typically up to you, but I do like to go with Arrowhead Break just to get more handling, and this will also max my recoil direction out just to make the weapon a lot easier to use. And then I will probably opt in with something like a range masterwork or even handling just so I can swap to a little bit faster. In reality, I'm probably going to go with a range just so I can shoot enemies a little bit further. And then pairing all that with the Indomitability origin trait, you're going to have a crazy add clear damage machine gun that can give you ability energy back. It's going to shoot very fast. It's really easy to use, and it also is just a ton of fun to play around with. But I think that's going to do it all for the in-depth look at Hammerhead. Let me know your god rolls in the comments below. Are you going to be going for the double damage of Rampage, Kill and Tally, or play into things like Onslaught? Are you going to go for an Envious Kill and Tally roll, because that would also be very good? Or even if Feed and Frenzy and Onslaught is your thing, just let me know down below because I would love to know. But anyways, though, I wish you all the best of luck on farming Onslaught. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.